Bunch of people in here. Cool. Everyone can see my ES chart, right? Really quick daily chart here. Yes, Nick says yes. Then it is a yes. Cool. What's up? What up, Gino?
All right, cool. Let me go
All right,
ahead
bro.
and
Go ahead.
record
Yeah,
it
you
as
got it.
well.
Sweet.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Sunday sermon, Sunday market watch. What we do is go over earnings for the week, data for the week, any kind of Fed speakers or anything big that the Fed is going to do this week. We have a lot going on this week, which we will go over here in just a second. But want to thank everyone for coming out as always. We know we have to prepare for each week, and Sundays are those days where we prepare, get ready for the week so that we can have a killer week, right? So that we can be ready for it, know what's going on, and prepare. I'm your host, Mr. Banks, along with No Risk, No a Premium. He'll take it over from here. He'll go over ES Spy, the indices, and then I'll go over some individual names I am watching for the week as well. But thank you guys for coming out.
Yo, yo, yo. Thank you, Justin, for the intro, guys. What is up? What is happening? It is no risk, no premium. Guys, it's Sunday. Justin hit on it, but just so we know, guys, Sunday, you got to get prepped for the week, right? If you think you're coming in on Monday, you're a day behind all of the real winners that are prepping on Sunday. So that's the focal point of this call, right? Get you down to the nuts and bolts of what you need to look out for this week from a macro sense. We're going to hit the economic data here in a sec over the major indices, major levels, macro points, pivots, etc. What you need. We'll send you on your ways. Thanks again, guys, for tapping in with us. Coming over here, let's go right to the market watch, right? General overview of what is going on this week. Starting Monday, October 30th, big and nothing burger. Always nice to see that. Don't have to worry about any pre-market data or any data. 30 minutes into the market open or 15 minutes into the market open, right? We can kind of just get right into it. Coming into Tuesday, though, we do have the Case-Shiller Price Home Index, business barometer, the consumer confidence index. Those all come after the market opens, or the barometer and the confidence index do. The Case-Shiller is 30 minutes. But I think the big day here is going to be the FOMC, because I see it right here, rate hike decision, Federal Chair Powell. That's going to be a meeting. It's not the minutes, it's the meeting. It's the actual meeting. It's where all the Fed members get together. They come to the decision on whether they're going to rate hike rates or not. And then we do have about an hour long I guess Q&A with Jerome Powell. So that Wednesday, guys, if you're going to take a day off this week and you're not generally very accepting in your trading strategy of having high volatility or scalpy action or just very back and forth, Wednesday's not going to be the day for you. And that's okay. Guys, sometimes trading, and the best traders know, you realize sometimes good trading is knowing when not to trade, is knowing when to be on the sideline. Okay, I don't personally like trading those FOMC days. I like to do maybe one or two trades in the morning, and then the rest of the day I really could care less because it's a lot of noise that goes on, right? It's a lot of noise that goes on. So just know on Wednesday that's going to be a big day for us on Wednesday. Thursday, typical jobless claims like we always know comes out. The non-farm payroll. So anytime the Fed talks about, or the data that comes out, it's like a CPI, PPI, or PCE. Anything that has to do with price, anything that has to do with inflation. We don't want to figure out what's going on there. Anytime that's going on, anything going on with the Fed, they're speaking, they're going to give a rate hike decision, whatever. Or there's any jobs data. Two things that the Feds look at is the jobs market, okay, and how much shit costs, i.e. CPI, PPI, and PCE, right? So inflation. So if we have this week, right, we have the Fed speaking, and then we have a non-farm payroll, which is a big jobs data, and then jobless claims on Thursday. Wednesday to Thursday is going to be a major data-driven days. So what we know on data-driven days, guys, you size down, you get in, get out, you do not overstay your welcome. Okay. And then you get on about your day. What else we have going on this week, guys? Pretty much every single name up here you guys see. I'm not going to go through every single day or every single name, but they're reporting this week except NVIDIA. NVIDIA is not until the 21st, which is like 3 weeks from now, right? I don't even have it. Way down here. Okay, way down here. But coming out, Apple, I think Apple and AMD, because we play QQQ and we play SPY. So the two main tickers we're going to want to watch for this week. Now, there are a bunch of other great names that we do trade, but I think AMD is going to be actually on Halloween, right? The 31st, which is Tuesday. And then Apple is on the 2nd, which is on Thursday. So what do we know on Thursday? Right, jobless claims and the non-farm payroll. So we have Wednesday afternoon, pal. Thursday jobless claims. Thursday after market, Apple. Friday non-farm payroll. So you guys can see this is gonna be a big week. Are we setting up for a possible Apple stick save of the market and maybe a no rate hike decision from Powell? Do we get our bounce? We're getting down to some major levels. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm not looking to find the narrative. All I'm looking to do is find what is happening in the market. How are we reacting? How are we reacting? I'm going to start with the ES chart here, guys. Going to look out here on this daily. I'm actually going to start on the weekly just so you can see how big this area is that we're getting down to. Okay. Look how much support we had. How much resistance. I call this some deep supply that we busted through. And now we're just breaking out on this huge time frame and now back testing. It's pretty much all that's happening here. We're breaking out and back testing so we can see how big this area is down here. So I'm going to see how price reacts down here. If it just so happens that price reacts at the same time of all this data and the buyers step in and hold this level, that's great. But I'm not going to be like, oh, jobs number was this, I buy calls. Jobs number was this, I do this. Apple numbers were good, I buy. We've seen good earnings come out and they sell the piss out of the stock. It doesn't matter, guys. We are traders. We are reactors. We are not predictors. We are reactors. We just watch how price reacts at our major levels, regardless of the narrative of the data. It does not matter because rates have gone up. Inflation's been high since over here, and we've gone down and we've gone up. And so it doesn't matter. All that matters is what is happening at our level. And that's how we know if we're going to take the long trade or take the short trade, or we're just not going to trade at all. But here you guys could see, right? I really cleaned up my charts for you guys. And just put some really major levels on here. I need to go to this 3 one day. And so we could see here, guys, really this week, what I'm going to be watching here is this area from 4060 all the way to 4100. Now, I like the 4100 level because we can see we had this nice touch and go. Lots of balance in here. Nice touch and go. And that was what started the rip almost back to the local highs up here, guys. We could see that, right? Huge rip higher. So do we think that there might possibly be some buyers left over, right? This supply demand flip, it's the chart is telling me we're getting to an area where we've been selling off so hard. Are we getting down to some areas where we definitely think some buyers are going to be stepping in? I believe so. Right. So at this 4100 level, I'm going to be watching buyers down to about 4060. Okay, this whole zone in here, just looking at this chart, you could see there's definitely, we're going to see if there's going to be some buyers stepping in. Okay, I'm not going to be short at 4060 either. Now under 4060, I mean, we've got a lot of room to drop back under sub 4,000 back to the 3,800s if we really wanted to. But for right now, on this fall out of the sky, 4060 to 4,100, I'll be watching this more so this week coming into Monday because our weekly low is about 4121. I would think maybe we get a little wick down, a little dip into this zone. So around the 4100 area, I'm going to be looking at longs. Okay. Now if we're going to be looking at what could happen if we pop, well, if you faded every pop over the last how many trading days? I mean, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 2 weeks here. We had one green day in 2 weeks, really. We're putting in a start to this Globex open as a green candle. Does it close there? You have to find out at market close tomorrow. But we could see, right, just straight blood. If you shorted every pop, you've been pretty solid, right? So unless we get back there, and I'm going to zoom in just a tad here for you guys. This 4,200, there's a gap here on the 1 and 4 hour charts from this gap down. So I'm going to be watching this 4,200 area. That's going to be my pivot. It's going to be my pivot for this week. I'm going to be watching this 4,100 area for a bounce, looking at the reject zone in here. If not, over 4,200, we could easily see a squeeze back to this old support that maybe we broke through. So is this going to be a breakdown and maybe a retest in this area? Absolutely. So watching 4,200 initially. Okay, but I think if we get through 4,200 on any big bounce down here and we hold 4,100, watch this 4,200 as a pivot, then I'll be watching about 4,240, 4,250 in this zone in here, see if we get a reject, maybe as high as the 200-day moving average, 4,265, maybe a breakdown of the 200-day moving average, and then a retest. That's what I'd be watching in there. So 4,100 going to be my main big level to see if we can hold these area. 4,200 be the pivot up to about 4,250 would be that next level to the upside. Like I said, guys, we're just giving the big macro overview and through 4,250, 4,300. So these levels, they're very wide. There's huge ranges to possibly trade. So this week should be fun with all this data coming out. Zooming out, looking left here on the SPY chart, same thing, right? Just even looking at this daily chart, lots of supply. And then we flipped. right, than we went through. So revisiting these zones in here, we're going to be revisiting these areas. Are we getting to some bounce areas? Absolutely. I think so. Right. Well, let's watch how price reacts. Now we have this huge gap here on this daily chart, which is why I think initially they might bait some people to kind of get short, right? Think about this as like the 4,100 area on ES. Do we get possibly a little bit move? Maybe we fill a little bit of the gap, but bounce it up, right? But bounce it up. That's what we're watching. So this 417 level is going to be like that 4,200 level on ES, right? So we're going to be watching anywhere from 407 to 408. Right, Friday's low in this. Are we going to hold this area? If we do, great. Look for a move back to 417. 417, we could see a possible reject. If we break above that, we're going to see some upside bounce continuation, and I think we're going to go right back up to about 422-ish zone. But ultimately, I think 426 could get tapped. Watch the 200-day moving average is now at 423. So watch 422 over 417. But 417 is going to be a mother and a half. We're going to have to pay attention to that zone. So I'm watching, like I said, 407 to 409 zone, this gap to be filled. I think we bait some people initially, right? Because the SPY chart, we've had 2 green days in 2 weeks pretty much. I think we're getting down to some levels where I'm looking at the bounce. So now underneath 407, I like 403. And then we have another gap. I think I want everyone to pay attention to this gap here. Okay. 396 to 398. I think we get there. I don't think we go in a straight line there. We could. I don't think we do. Another level I want to point out, the weekly chart, the 200-day moving average on the weekly chart is starting to line up here, right? 393, 396 is the gap. Do we maybe spend a week retracing? And then ultimately, do we come back down and touch this 200-day weekly moving average? We can see we respected it. We made our lows down here at 350, 360. We respected the 200-day weekly moving average, right? So that's what I'll be watching this week, guys. It's going to be all about this 408, 409-ish, Friday's lows, the gap. Watch this area to hold if we can. Initially, possibly a reject here at 417, but if we break and hold through it, 423 is going to be the 200-day, and the 427, 426.50, 427 will be the next major level to the upside there. Underneath 407.50, if we fill that gap underneath, I'm going to be looking at about 404. We could see this nice double bottom in the zone in here, where that's be the next bounce zone. But ultimately, I think we do make our way down to that gap to get filled there at 396 to 398. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice here on the daily chart, right? We had, lower high, lower low, right? We had a continuation on the downside of the S&P 500. Let's go to the Qs real quick. What do we notice on the Qs? Inside day. We did not break Friday's lows. Interesting. Where are we getting close to now here on the QQQ? We're getting close to this gap here on this daily chart. You guys can see it. Big gap to fill here. And the 200-day. That's called multiple confluence. That is called, you want to look to take the bounce there. Okay. 340 psych level. Okay. So you have a line there. 339, 200-day moving average. Beginning of the gap is 336.50. So this level's in here. I'm going to see, does Friday's low hold? I think we break a little below it. Okay, maybe get this wick down to 340 area, 339, 200-day moving average. I'd be looking for the bounce in this zone. We have to get back above, right? We have to get back above this 350, 351. Reclaiming that level is going to be big, but for me, I think this can be a multiple weekly support breakdown and retest. I'd be looking initially at 350 to 351 for the retest and reject for the put side. Now, break and hold over 351, though, it's going to open up 360. Absolutely. So big levels to watch. 339 to 340. There's a gap at 336. Don't forget it. 350 to 351 will be that weekly. It'll be the pivot now. We're going to either break down and retest it. If we reclaim it, great. Local bottoms in. We're going to go back to 360. Okay. We're going to go back to 360. So big levels, 340, 350, 351, 360. Take it by tens. Keep it super simple. That's the macro view there on QQQ. Last but not least, guys, I do IWM. So Russell 2000. It's all the small cap stocks. You guys always know we look out on this weekly chart. We are losing a major level here. Whoa, why is that? Okay. Let's take a peek. Look at this zone, this multiple weekly demand area. We are losing it. We can see the COVID lows was actually down here about 153. We're getting almost a 100% retrace to it, right? Kind of crazy to see. Okay. Do I have the weekly 5? Yeah, that's what I want. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. 95. My apologies. This is COVID. I needed to zoom out and look left. My apologies. Not 100% retrace. I take that back. We're just going to be losing this 162.50 as a major zone. We dipped a little and we closed below it. Is this going to be a possible liquidity grab? 162.50 is going to be your level to play around. If we dip below it and then pop back and reclaim it, right? And pop back and reclaim it, then you're going to want to get long back to 167, 169, right? Because it's just going to trap all these people under these weekly wicks, okay? And then pop it back up, right? Maybe grab some buy side liquidity and run it back up. So 162.50 is going to be that area, okay? But really quickly, I'll just give you a level or two if we do want to break down. That's a major breakdown on this indice. I do think that we come down to about 155, 150, 155 in this area in here. So watch underneath, watch about 155 is that area that's going to be next up underneath 162. I personally think because how the market works is get everybody leaning. It's all doom and gloom out there. Fear and greed index is way pinned to the left. Super fear, every doom and gloom. The world's ending, yada yada. Let's dip a tab below, bounce this thing back up and retrace, and then let's look to take the short trade at this breakdown of 169 and reject. Right, get it on a lower high up here, and then get this move back down lower. But shorting at the lows and shorting the holes, it's high probability you could be in a little bit of trouble. So 162.50 is going to be that zone. If we hold that, great. Look back to 167.50, 170. From there, underneath 160 though. 160 will be a psych level, I believe, and 155 is gonna be the next area I'll be watching to the downside. Guys, that's all I got for you. We're going over the indices, and that's it. Justin, what's going on? What is happening, brother? What do you got for us on the individual names?
Awesome. What's going on, guys? Let me see. You guys see my chart on the video?
Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So going over got five individual names I'm watching. Big earnings this week, like we talked about, right? I think the best way to play earnings, if anyone wants to play earnings like AMD, Apple, is just wait until the day after, right? They'll usually give you some pretty big levels, some ranges that you can play the breaks of, or, the tops and bottoms for a bounce or a reject. Just wait till the day after, play it after. Pretty much a gamble going into the earnings. But this week I'm watching NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA came back to our huge, massive 400 big psych level. Not only is it a psych level, but also pretty much a support resistance flip here, where you can see multiple bottoms coming in at that 400 area. Now, if we zoom out, we're on the 4-hour here, kind of looks like a bearish H is possibly forming, right? So if you don't know what a bearish H is, it is a bearish pattern. Very possible that we are forming this. For this week, I'm watching that 400 down to about 396 for a bounce, right? So if we zoom out, look left. Let me kind of zoom in a little bit though. We could see there is a tiny minuscule gap fill. I wouldn't really call it a gap fill, but essentially gap fill down here to about 396. I would look for a 396 bounce below 400. As we know, a lot of the times they like to take it below a certain level, get everyone off sides only to bounce it. So I'm looking for 400 down to about this 396 area here. Let me go ahead and draw a line just so you guys can see it a little bit better. About 396 here, guys. 396, 395, but 396 here in this area for a bounce that would have a continuation of this bearish H that is forming, and then look for a bounce down in this 396 area. Now, if we break and hold this 396 area, we really have nothing but room to the downside. I would look around 390 first, right? 390, 390, 390. Look around a 390 area. Below 390, I would look towards getting down into about 385, 380, and there's really room all the way down to about 374. So if we break and hold this 396 area, there's really nothing but room down to the downside. 385, realistically, if we broke 395, I look for 385 and 374 would be my big levels that I would watch. So 396 break and hold. First, we're watching for that bounce, 400 down to 396. If we don't get that bounce, then I'd be looking for a sell for continued weakness down into this 385, 374 area down right here. And then below, right, we have nothing but room. Essentially, let me go ahead and throw this off for you guys. we'd have to get down below 367, 366.50. Then there's that massive gap fill to the downside, as you can see here. So if we start to get weak and Nvidia starts selling off, I mean, there is a massive gap fill that we can see potentially in the future if the market does have continued weakness. But again, watching this bearish H for continuation down into about 396 for that bounce. I'm also watching above 412. So above this area right here, you can see we had some bounces, 412, around 412, and then we had this reject at 412 here. So if we break and hold over 412, I'm willing to get long back into about this 418, 420 area right here, and above 420, we can easily see back into about 425 and then 430 and then all the way up to about 438 right here. But 412 will be my level to feel comfortable getting long. So again, 400, 396 for a bounce, below 396 to get short, or above 412 to get long, back into about 418, 420, and then eventually 425, 430 area right up here, and then nothing but room to about 436, 438 there on Nvidia. Next on the list, guys, is going to be Amazon. Now, the thing that caught my eye on Amazon is while the market was selling off, Amazon had some nice relative strength, right? Had some nice relative strength. Reporting after earnings, earnings were good. For this week, though, I'm watching this 130 level, right? Watching this 130 level. We can go out to the 1 hour here. But 130, right? 130, we know that 130 is a pretty massive level here. So if we break and hold 130, I could see definitely room right into about this 132 area. And then from 132, we can easily go see to the top of here around 133 and then 135. The 4 hours is a little bit better for this. Break and hold 130, right into about this 132, 133 area, and then right into about this 135 area at the top here. We can see that. So 135, ultimately, if we break and hold 130, really need that. You can see that's where we rejected. Pretty big level 130. So 130 to 132, 133, and then 135 for that upside. And we can look to get short here, possibly in this 135 area. Also looking for a bounce right around this 125 area down to about 123. So 123, I'll go ahead and show this to you guys. Right. So the top of this, where we broke out of it, big resistance. What do you know? Also support, 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 turn resistance. And we broke out. So if we do decide to get weak this week, we're looking about 125 down to 123 for a big bounce back up. But we do need over 130. Do feel confident getting long over 130 into that 132, 133, 135 area right there on Amazon. Next on the list is going to be Disney. Pretty weak coming into this week, right back down to lows. So let me go ahead and show you on the daily. And we could see that we are coming right back down to these lows again. Now these lows, let me go to the weekly here. Lows are back to the 2020 crashes, all the way back to about 2014 in this area right here, where we bounced from 2020 crash here. And now we're getting pretty weak. I mean, the weekly is pretty weak there. The monthly also looking pretty weak. Possible inverted hammer, but also weak there on the higher time frame. So this week it's all about these zones right here that I am watching. Let me go to the daily. So watching these multiple bottom here, what I need is 79 down to about the 78, 73, which is the low right here. Watching for a bounce to see if we can get it to get long. But below, we really have nothing but room down. Let me see. Nothing but room down. We had to go to the weekly for that into about 76. You guys can see right here about the 76. 77 level, 76, 69, 77 level. If we do decide to get weak under this 78, 73, we'll go look for 77. You guys can see right here below 77, I would look for around 72.50 and then ultimately down to 70 here for a bounce if we just see ultimate weakness in Disney. So I'm really only looking for the downside or bounces, not really looking to get long over any certain areas. I really need a break and hold over 85 for me to get confident to get long again. So I'm really looking for either weakness for the sell or for a bounce to get long. So no levels to the upside, just levels to the downside, looking to either hold for a bounce or we break and hold below this low right here to go see 77, 72.50 and down into 70 here on a Disney, where I'd look to definitely take a bounce at that point. Next on the list is going to be Netflix, everyone's favorite. It's Netflix and chill season. For Netflix, let me go ahead and get lower right here. Watching for continued weakness, right? Watching for continued weakness. It had a massive buy. So we're going to come back down into this demand, right? Into this area. Very, very possible. For me to get short, though, I want below 395. 395, you can see it's a pretty big rejection. Turn support area right here. I really need 395 to break and hold. If we break and hold 395, I'd be looking for a sell into about 392 area right here. 392, I'd go look for about 387. 387 is my line in the sand. Below 387, I mean, we have nothing but room to the downside, essentially into 380, 376, and then it just keeps getting uglier from there. 370. So 395 guys this week, watching for that, maybe double bottom here for a bounce up. 395, 395, 395. Are we breaking hold 395? I'd go look for 392. Below 392, I'd go look for 387, where this is my line in the sand level right here. Below 387, things can get very, very ugly into 380 right there. For any kind of upside, a lot of people like 400, but I personally like this 402 level right here, just a little tad bit more. So let me go ahead and draw this for you guys. I kind of like this 402 level just a tad bit more. Why? Because we had some rejection or some support here turn into rejections. So 402, I like that just a tad bit better. Really come down. You can see that 402 area right here. So yes, 400 big psych level, but to me, I think between 400 and 402 can easily come into supply here, and we can see a reject if we do break over 400. I think from 400 to 402 still is some pretty big supply. So I think people can get caught off sides if you're trying to get long over 400. I understand it's a big psych level, but to me, I like over 402 just a little bit better to play it safe. Now, over 402 can easily go see back into about this 405 area right here. 407.50 and then 409 into 410. So some levels that we can really see to the upside. Let me go to the 4 hour. Even the 4 hour, you could see right here how big that 402 level is, right? I mean, we had a nice bounce here, reject here. So bounce here. We can see that 402, I think, is a little bit more important than that 400. Just my personal opinion. Have been seeing some people say 400 across the board. I think that's just them being lazy. They're like, oh, it's a cycle level, it's 400. I think 402, much better level for a break and hold to the upside. So don't get caught trying to get long over 400. 405, and then definitely room into about this 410 area at the very top. We can see right here if it has continued strength. So there's the upside and the downside there on a Meta, or sorry, on Netflix. Next on the list, though, is Meta. Now this week, I am watching 300. 300 is a pretty big level. We have some rejections around 299.60. So let's just call it 300. Break and hold over 300. Easily can go see 305, which would be the support turn rejection area here. And then we have room into about 308, 55, 310. So 300 is really my level here to get long, where we have nothing but room into about 305, 306, 308, and then 310 ultimately. Or we can kind of reject this 300 level again to get short. Maybe a big bear flag possible that's forming. If the market does decide to get weak and tech gets weak, then we can easily see a reject at this 300 level. But need 300 to break and hold, nothing but room into 305, 306, 308, and then 310 there. That is all I got. The top watches for this week. As always, I will put my watch list out every single morning for you guys. But I think this week, ultimately, with all the data that's coming out, we have FOMC, we have Apple, huge earnings. As we know, Apple pretty much the last 2 weeks has dictated the markets. Apple gets weak, the market gets weak. Apple gets strong, we see bounces into certain levels, and then Apple turns over, and then the market gets weak again. So I think this week Apple can either break or save the market. And then we have FOMC on top of everything. And then we have data prints all week. So I think this week in particular is really just taking it day by day and doing less, doing less, taking it one trade at a time. And after we get through this week, then we can take a little breather and get into some nice, better trading action. But I think it can get pretty sloppy this week. So let's just take it one day at a time, one trade at a time, and let's kill it.
Yeah, well said, Justin. And wrap it up right there, guys. Remember, doing less and making more is all about these current market condition, guys. Doing less and making more is everything. Like you said, guys, let's gonna look out for big earnings. Check every day in the Discord for the earnings and economic data to make sure you are not brought by surprise for any data prints that happen into the market open or for any earnings coming out there as well. Guys, that's all I got for you, Justin. Want to take us out?
Yes, guys, remember doing less, one trade at a time. Trading is all about base hits. It's going to take time, put in that time to see the reward. I'll see everyone bright and early for pre-market huddle. I believe in every one of you. Let's have a killer week.
Later.